Hello family and friends, this is Rob the Sapper Gardener, and I want to welcome you to our garden and our kitchen. And this week we're going to be having a Seafood Friday edition of Chow Time, and it's going to be in honor of one of our YouTube friends, Miss Sandra over at soulfoodqueen.net. I know there's millions of different recipes out in the world, lots of different ones I haven't tried. And Miss Sandra, she cooked up something that I had not seen before, but as soon as I saw it, I said I wanted to give it a try. And that is a smoked salmon chowder. And I've had chowders all over America, all over the world, and I don't know why I have never had a smoked salmon chowder, but since I couldn't go to sit and eat at Miss Sandra's kitchen, we're going to try to replicate it here in ours. So let me turn you guys around, show you some of our ingredients, and we're going to try our first hand at smoked salmon chowder. And full disclosure, I didn't smoke the salmon myself. Depending on how this one tastes, I might do it next time. So let me turn you guys around and show you the ingredients. Alright, and our list of ingredients, and we didn't use one particular recipe. We're not following Miss Sandra's exactly. We looked at other recipes on the internet, and we're kind of combining some things that we saw for what we think we'll like based on what we have growing in our garden and what we have in our pantry. So, of course, the star ingredient, starting on the left, is the smoked salmon. We've got some chicken broth up top. We've got 2 medium-sized potatoes, 1 small onion. We've got about a half cup of milk. We've got some cream cheese. We've got some chili peppers. And then for our spices, starting at the top, going down, we've got some dried French tarragon. We've got some fennel. We've got a combination of fresh celery and dried celery seeds, and we've got some sage and some black pepper. So we're going to get started on all this. We're going to add some of our ingredients into a pot, and we also are going to use a little bit of butter to start everything off, and a pinch of flour to make up a slight roux, and then everything will be going into the pot in the order of most of the recipes we saw online. So we're going to just clean our potatoes a little bit. Any spots or eyes that we see that we don't want to put into our chowder, we're going to chop them off, but other than that, we're going to leave the skins on. And we're going to slice these into cubes, or sorry, medallions. And we've got a mandolin attachment I may have shown on other videos. There's probably a million of them out there, but we are going to use our large cube attachment for our potatoes, and we're going to use our small cube or mince attachment for the onions, and we're going to get those the size we want. But first, I'll just slice these into quick medallions like that. I've already sliced the onions into rings so that when we put it in the mandolin attachment, everything will be quick and easy to go into our chowder. One of my goals in life is to make my wife's job as easy as possible, so when we get attachments, it'll speed up things that we're doing. I'm always happy to jump on it, and this is one of them. It makes our potatoes a lot more uniform. One of the things that we know, if you got different size potato cubes. They don't cook evenly. The texture comes out different. So we like things like this. And we also like non-powered tools. Anytime we can get something we don't have to plug in to, you know, work in the kitchen, we try to do that as much as possible, because you just never know when you're going to lose power. You still got to cook, you got to do things. And handy dandy attachments like this are perfect because they give you quick and easy minced potatoes. Be careful with your attachments. So even though you don't realize it, some of these are as sharp as the knives that you use to cut with. So when you scrape this off, we have an attachment for this. Don't use your fingers and brush them across. Speaking from experience, it won't end well. So we've got our butter in the pan. We're going to melt that on a medium-high heat, and as soon as it's melted, we're going to add just a little bit of flour in, stir that for a couple of minutes. Then we're going to add in our celery and our onions and allow them to soften up, and then we're going to start adding in our other ingredients. I'm actually going to turn down the heat a little bit for this so our butter doesn't burn. Remove it just for a second. It's a new recipe, so we're trying to make sure that we don't burn anything up, scorch anything, or do anything else that's going to affect the flavor, because I love chowder too much to make a bad one. So our heat's gotten back under control. Now I'm going to add in our onions, and I debated back and forth whether I was going to put garlic in it, because being a Filipino American family, we usually put garlic in everything. But just this once, I'm going to try to skip the garlic, and if I change my mind at the end of the cook, I'll just add a little garlic powder into it. But I'm going to taste it, see how all the flavors go together, and we're going to see what we're doing here. So onion's going to saute for about a minute, 2 minutes, then we're going to add in our celery. So we've got our onions nice and softened up. We're going to add in our celery. And one recipe we saw said use fresh celery, one said add celery seeds, so why not do both? And we're going to let this cook for a couple of minutes more, and then we're going to start adding in more ingredients and some of our liquids. So we warmed our milk in a separate pot, and we're going to slowly add it in, and I'm going to be whisking this the entire time so that hopefully our milk stays milk and doesn't transform into anything else. And I'm actually going to move the pot off the heat just for a minute as I do this. And a few drops, and it's good. Yeah, anytime you're cooking a new recipe, you always got to be careful about the steps you're taking. Cooking is one of those where it's not always a rocket science, but sometimes you should err on the side of caution. So our milk's good. Gonna whisk it in here. Gonna return it back to the heat and continue to whisk it until we add in our next ingredient. So we've been stirring constantly for a couple of minutes. We're going to add in our potato minus the one that went AWOL and is on the floor. And we're going to add just enough broth at this time to cover up our potatoes, and we're going to reduce the temperature down just a little bit. We're going to cook this for a few minutes, and then we're going to add in our cream cheese and the rest of the ingredients and spices. So we've reduced our temperature to medium, and we're going to add in about 2 spoonfuls of soft cream cheese. And if you let your cream cheese sit out room temperature for a bit, it helps to get it in there and get it melting. So this container is about empty because we got some bagels from one of our favorite bagel places. We have been eating a lot of cream cheese, so we'll let this get melted and stirred in good. We'll check our liquid level. If we think we need more liquid, we'll add a little bit more of the chicken broth. And once the cream cheese is melted, we're going to add the rest of our seasonings, and we're going to cook this for about 20 minutes. Well, course correction, we're going to add the rest of our ingredients minus the smoked salmon. We're going to cook it for about 20 minutes on medium heat. Then we're going to add in our smoked salmon. We're going to cook it for about 10 more minutes. So our cream cheese is pretty much incorporated. We're going to add in all our green chilies. And this is definitely a family favorite because we like green chilies. We like all chilies. We like all peppers. And we don't want to make it too hot. If you don't like hot chowder, then leave the green chilies out if you're planning to follow our recipe. And again, at the very end, we'll taste it. We'll adjust our seasonings accordingly. And hopefully it's not too hot because I want to add a little bit of hot sauce to give it a little bit of a color to it, along with the color it's going to get from the smoked salmon. But right now it's looking really good. It's looking really green. I know some of that will fade as it cooks, but we like a little bit of color in our food. So we've cooked them. I just checked the potatoes and they are slightly al dente. So now we're going to add in our smoked salmon and we're going to cook it for about 10 more minutes. And on this last cook, we're going to taste test and check our seasoning, see if we need to add any more spices to it. I intentionally didn't add salt because we're using the smoked salmon, but if it tastes like it needs salt, I'll add a little bit in. And we're using approximately 40 grams of smoked salmon. We just got 2 packs. And one of the things that we've been doing a lot more during this current world situation is ordering online when we can find good deals and good prices. And these packs, which were not promoted or sponsored by, obviously, were conveniently priced. We got them in, and definitely the right amount, I can already tell, for this smoked salmon chowder. So I'm gonna cook this a few minutes. I'm gonna taste it to check our seasonings and let it go for a total cook time of approximately 40 minutes from the time we started to the time we finish. Everything should be done. This is actually going to be one of our vegetable sides. Our main protein is going to be smoked pork chops, which I'm about to start, and we'll see how everything comes together. Alright, family and friends, we are back at the table. We've got our beautiful table set up thanks to Mrs. SG. We've got our star ingredient, even though it's not the main protein, is the smoked salmon chowder. And I love the smoked salmon chowder. One thing I was telling Mrs. SG that I forgot that we will do the next time, I mentioned not adding salt to it until the end. I intended to do some bacon at the very beginning. After I did the roux, I was going to add the bacon, add a little more oil, a little more saltiness. And I did forget that, but if you do, just add salt at the end, which is what I did. But I enjoy it. I will give you guys a mukbang moment from the chowder, and I did add some hot sauce to it. So I enjoy the chowder. Hopefully I did Miss Sandra proud over at soulfoodqueen.net. And I mentioned I've eaten chowder in Oregon and New York, Maine, all these different places. And there are so many wonderful chowder recipes around the world. The one I had in Maine, in Lincoln City, not Maine, in Oregon, Lincoln City, was probably one of the best I've ever had. But this one is good. It's really good, but I won't say it's as good as those yet. So this is a recipe that we'll have to play around with, and maybe the bacon would make it perfect, but it's close enough to perfect for our taste. Mrs. SG, you have anything to add?
Love it.
And SK1 is in love with the smoked pork chops, which his is gone, and I'm behind as always. So SK2, enjoying your different seafood. Is it good? Thumbs up, thumbs down, thumbs middle, thumbs up. So we'll take that as a bonus. So SK1, how do you like the chowder?
It's very good.
Okay, you think the bacon would have made it perfect? Better
I think
or
it's
worse? Okay. I agree it's good, and I haven't even put my crackers in it yet, but we're gonna call this a win. We're gonna thank Miss Sandra again, and we're gonna dig in, 2 hands, 2 elbows, 2 shoulders, 1 mouth. So, as always, this is Rob the Sapper Gardener representing Essayons Family Garden along with Mrs. SG, SK1, SK2, and Sapper Pup Maggie. We want to say God bless our great country, America, you, wherever you reside around the world, your garden, your harvest, your kitchen, your meals, and especially your family that have health, success, and prosperity, especially during these troubled times. Take care. Sapper out. And
SK2 out.
all right, take care, everyone.
Several days later.
Take our bacon out, dry it on the sheet, and we're gonna get rid of a little bit of the bacon fat, but we're gonna keep some of that just to add back into the chowder. All right, family and friends, and when I say we, me, I couldn't let you guys go without trying to improve on the smoked salmon chowder. I did cook another small batch of it to go with our meal. This is a week or so later from the first one. And I did add the bacon into it, and the bacon made a big difference in my opinion. So what do you think, Mr. Dusty?
It's perfect for the cold weather.
She's laughing at me because we already had a meal, and I said, let me make the salmon chowder. But
Oh, the bacon really made a big difference.
okay, SK1. Did the bacon make a difference, or you can't tell the difference?
I think both of them are very good.
Okay.
Okay.
All right. So for real this time, take care. Sapper out and
SK2 out.
all right. Take care, everyone.